Attack on Titan is one of the most popular anime and manga series in recent years, and it has gained a global fanbase. Its initially captivating plot focuses on the epic battle against colossal titans, but gradually shifts its focus towards confronting equally titanic political and moral issues. So, prepare to join our recon squad with the challenging mission of exploring the gigantic philosophy behind the symbolic walls of Attack on Titan. The final arc reveals an ancient war between Eldians and Marleyans, two peoples who hate and fear each other. They demand insane historical reparations from each other, which are exacted with even more atrocities. At this point, the work suggests that good and evil are not absolute concepts but rather relative. In other words, we typically label our friends as good and our enemies as bad. In this sense, both the characters from Paradise and the characters from Marley in the anime are simultaneously seen as saintly war heroes or dreadful sinful villains, depending on which side you look from. But is such a depressing moral relativism really true? The answer is no, and the one who refuted this moral relativism was not exactly a philosopher, but the most influential figure in history, Jesus of Nazareth. Christ defines a good or benevolent person as one who tends to do good to everyone without distinction or partiality. And he defines a bad or problematic person as a troublemaker who cares only for their own well-being, or that of their small group, much like any criminal, tending to cause great harm to others around them, much like Aaron. In fact, if you only love those who love you or your own group, what are you doing that's any different from organized crime? See Matthew 5:44-46. In effect, primates instinctively tend to be relatively peaceful within their own group but extremely brutal and cruel towards other groups. Many primitive tribes also behave this way, as do gangs, radical political groups, religious fanatics, and so on. Contrary to what may seem, this peace only with your group is not real morality, nor is it even a half morality. It is, according to Christ, merely favoritism, discrimination, and egotism. This collectivist or identity-based way of thinking gives rise to all sorts of racism, sexism, jingoism, classism, selfishness, supremacism, 20th century authoritarian regimes based on historical grievances, and so on. Evils that continue to plague humanity repeatedly, always reinventing themselves. In opposition to this, we naturally feel that the Recon Squad is fairer than other groups in that world, because they diligently seek harmonious solutions for the greater good of all. But how is such a solution possible? Naturally, through the principle that each person has the duty to individually, not collectively, pay for the wrong they've done, as well as the right to enjoy the good they've produced, proportionally and irrespective of who they are, friend or foe. In short, from justice that is blind and applies the universal laws of good teamwork and ethics equally, arises the most sensible answer to the infamous populist rhetoric of the ends justify the means, more injustices in the name of justice, and us versus them. In this sense, the solution to the Attack on Titan dilemma will only come when Mikasa prioritizes objective justice above the bonds of friendship and identification. For whoever loves punishes the beloved's mistakes to teach him or to prevent him from becoming even worse. And to do this, she doesn't need to abandon the scarf, a symbol of pure and platonic love, but on the contrary, she needs to keep it in sight. It seems to me that the anime wouldn't have received as much criticism for its ending if it had just stopped at this dramatic act by Mikasa. However, what comes next is an embarrassing plot twist, trying to justify Aaron's unjustifiable actions in an unavoidably artificial manner, a resolution that many fans felt didn't do justice to the rest of the work. On the other hand, some viewers have commented in support of Aaron's genocide, which is still alarming, even if these comments were all 100% tasteless jokes, especially considering that some of the worst dictators were democratically elected, largely by young authoritarians like those on Paradise Island. The most common criticism of poets since Plato is that when this type of art desensitizes us and gets us accustomed to viewing drastic and absurd measures as normal in fiction, we are one step away from seeing them as normal in the real world as well. For example, you may have seen apocalyptic zombie movies with the army irrationally locking up healthy and sick people behind the walls of a city to obviously get infected, instead of doing what is obvious and healthy, testing them individually and letting the healthy ones go. But when you watch those movies, did you ever imagine that a similar foolishness would one day occur in the real world, with a large part of the population apathetically accepting this mass murder in their homes? Tatakai! Of course, even with a highly criticized ending, Attack on Titan continues to be an extraordinary and unique series that is well worth watching and reflecting on philosophically. If you enjoyed this video, please dedicate your heart by hitting the like button, subscribing and ringing the bell, as it is vital for the survival of this editorial line. So what did you think of the ending? What solution or ending would you propose? What other works of pop culture would you like us to analyze? Leave your comments below. Do you know any fans of Attack on Titan or philosophy? Send this video to them, a warm embrace, and see you in the future if time really exists.